A couple days ago, I beat Dark Souls 1 for the first time. I think it was a really good game and it had some challenging bosses. So in this video, I'm going to rank all the bosses in this game from easiest to hardest. Now keep in mind, this is from a first playthrough, and I think I struggled a little bit more with some of the bosses than I probably should have, but that's what happens on a first playthrough. Also, I did have a small amount of knowledge about some of the bosses before going into this playthrough, but it wasn't much and I don't think it really affected anything. And with that out of the way, let's dive into the easiest boss in Dark Souls. Alright now, what did you really expect? Of course it was Pinwheel. He's just super easy. The only thing he can do is shoot off a couple fireballs and summon up a couple clones, but the fireballs don't do much damage, and the clones don't do much either, they just kind of sit there. So it's pretty easy to just go on in and hit him, and he has almost no health. I think he died in 3 hits, so yes, he is 100% the easiest boss in Dark Souls. Alright, coming in at spot number 21 is Crossbreed Priscilla. She wasn't really much harder than Pinwheel. The only reason I put her higher is because I was poisoned during the whole fight, and I couldn't unpoison myself, and she can also go invisible. But if it weren't for those, I would probably put her lower than Pinwheel. She was like ridiculously easy. Alright, number 20 we have Ceaseless Discharge. Put him at number 20, only because just running to him took so long, and running back to the fog gate to hit his arm, it just took so long. That made it more difficult than Pinwheel or Priscilla. He didn't even do any attacks apart from this one fire surge thing, where he just shot like a bit of fire at me. Apart from that, he didn't even try to attack me. Add this to the fact that he only aggroes you after you pick up some items on the floor. That just makes him too easy. In the number 19 spot we have Iron Golem. Now, Iron Golem, again, another very easy boss. That's why it's down this low. He only had a couple big axe swing attacks. The only minor challenge that was in this fight was the big giant throwing fireballs at me from the roof. If he wasn't there, this probably would have been even lower than it already is. What makes this boss so easy is that after you hit him a couple of times, he'll just stand there for like 10 seconds straight and do nothing and let you hit him. Number 18 is Asylum Demon. Forgot to record this fight, so you get to look at this cool JPEG of him that I found online. The Asylum Demon is the first boss in the game, so they couldn't make him too challenging for new players, so it's understandable why he's this low. But I think he's a pretty fun challenge for players playing the game for the first time. Alright, number 17 is Seath the Scaleless. He's the first late game boss in this ranking, and obviously by far the easiest. In my fight with him, he only did one move, where he just sprayed crystals on the floor, didn't even try to do anything else. The only reason he's this high on the ranking is because the one move that he did curses you if it kills you, and he has a massive amount of health. But he's still by far the easiest late game boss. Right, number 16 we have Centipede Demon. I don't really have too much to say about him. He was mostly forgettable. He was in the Demon Ruins, and obviously had a bunch of fire everywhere, which was probably the only challenge of this boss fight. It was just like the lava, because the lava really hurts. boss before you get the orange charred ring, and the way you do that is by killing the centipede demon. But you have Solaire for this fight, so he made it really easy. Alright, next up we have the Demon Fire Sage. It was a boss that came about 20 seconds before the centipede demon. I don't know why they shoved them so close together. But this is just a reskin of the Asylum Demon, except it has the explosions from the Stray Demon, plus like fire effects, maybe? I'm not really sure though, because I completely steamrolled him. He's just a reskin of the first boss in the game. Coming in at number 14, we have the Gaping Dragon. Now, he was actually the first boss that I took a death to in this ranking so far, but the death wasn't because the boss was actually hard, it was just me being stupid. This boss is very easy. After he does a couple of his attacks, he'll just sit there for a good 5 seconds and let you hit him. He also has weakness to lightning, so I put lightning on my sword at the start of the fight and it's hurting him a decent amount. He does have a lot of health though. Another thing that makes this fight easy is that you can summon Solaire for it, and he can just take the aggro while you hit the Gaping Dragon, even though you can kind of do that without Solaire anyway, because it has massive pauses after a couple of his attacks. Coming in at number 13, we have Quelaag. Quelaag was guarding the second bell that I had to ring, but just because she was guarding something important doesn't mean she was actually difficult to kill. While she looks big and intimidating, she doesn't have a very big pool of moves, so she just kind of swings her sword around a couple times, spews a bit of lava. She only has one actually dangerous attack, but it takes so long to wind up that it's really hard to get hit by it. At the end of the day, she's just another easy early game boss. Alright, number 12 we have Sif. Sif was this big wolf with a big sword, but I think I came into the fight like way later than I was supposed to, and I think I was like really over leveled. I did this fight just before the 4 kings, so I waited right to the last second to do it. The fight itself wasn't particularly hard, just the dog does a couple swings with the sword, especially when I'm trying to use my big great sword to hit him. He just jumps away too fast. Coming in at number 11, we have Nito. Now, Nito was probably the last of the easiest bosses. All the bosses from here on out, I took at least one death to. I would consider Nito like really the last easy boss. The only reason that I died to him at all was from the fall damage falling into his arena. I don't even think any of his melee attacks even hit me. I think the only attack he managed to hit me with was the miasma attack. The fact that he was this easy probably had something to do with the fact that he was the last boss that I did before Gwyn, but still. A late game boss like this shouldn't be this easy. Alright, number 10 is Taurus Demon. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing with this one. I died to him 6 times. It's the first real boss of the game, right after Asylum Demon. Just wasn't prepared for him, I guess. Also the archers on the roof were adding to the difficulty, until in the winning attempt I actually decided to kill them first. The boss fight itself though is pretty fun. So this boss just barely squeezes its way into the top 10. At number 9 is Stray Demon. Stray Demon is just a reskin of the Asylum Demon or the Demon Fire Sage, except this time it's just has explosions when it hits the ground, which made it significantly more difficult. I died to him twice, I think, just because of the explosions and because of the forced fall damage when you go into his arena. I don't like this boss, I don't like this fight, so I'm just going to go on to the next one now. Number 8, we have Bell Gargoyles. Not gonna lie, I was really struggling with this one. I hadn't figured out how to summon Solaire yet, so I was just going in there and trying to kill them both myself, and I could not do it. I was just struggling so much with this. I think I ended up dying to them twice before coming back later and then figuring out you could summon Solaire for it, which then I got at first attempt. This fight is definitely a challenge for new players like me. Right, number 7 is Moonlight Butterfly. I think I just did this fight too early. With 2-handing, I only just managed to get it with 3 landings, and the fight lasted around 5 minutes because he just would not land. He just kept flying around. This was not a very fun fight, so I'm just going to move on quickly. Alright, number 6, we have Bed of Chaos. Now, this fight isn't hard, it's just cheap. Like, it's not fair, the sweeping arms and the fire that shoots up out of the floor, like, it's just not fair. But obviously, dies in one hit, so can't really call it difficult. This was probably my least favourite boss in the game, it just sucked. Right, now we're into the top 5. Starting us off is the Four Kings. It's the first Lord Soul boss that I did, and did him right after Sif, as I already said. And he's pretty difficult. I don't think I ever managed to take down one king without Mort spawning. And this fight probably rivals the Moonlight Butterfly for taking the longest. I think this fight took around 4 minutes. Right, coming in at number 4 we have Gwendolyn. Now, again, I forgot to record my fight with Gwendolyn, so you're just going to have to look at this image of him that I found on the wiki. Now, Gwendolyn was the boss that I died to the most times out of any of them, with 9 deaths, which is kind of stupid because he's not even that hard, but I just could not get him down for some reason. I was really struggling with this one. He had this one attack that would always get me, where he shoots the big soul arrow thing, and it caught me right as I came out of the roll from dodging the little, like the one that shot out a bunch of little tiny magic blasts. It would always just catch me on right as I got out of the roll after rolling through that one. Alright, for number 3 we have Ornstein and Smo. This one was pretty difficult, but made it a lot easier by having Solaire as an option to summon, because he just soloed Ornstein. I didn't even hit Ornstein once. Solaire just completely took care of him by himself. Without summons, this is definitely the hardest boss, but considering that you have the option for it, that's why it's down here at 3 and not at number 1. Okay, number 2 we have Capra Demon. Capra Demon is just, if you play Dark Souls you know Capra Demon. The 2 dogs that just go straight for you right at the start, the most dangerous part of the fight really. It's not too bad once they are dead, but it's still annoying considering that you're in such a tiny arena and there's always stuff blocking your camera while you're trying to see what the Capra Demon is actually doing. But since he doesn't actually have too much health and has like a pretty small pool of moves, he's not too hard and you can block him. But the combination of the tiny arena and the dogs makes this one of the hardest fights in Dark Souls. Okay, and for the number 1 hardest boss in the game, we have Gwyn. Yep, the final boss in the game is the hardest, and in my opinion, probably the best. This was at least my favourite boss in the entire game. This was probably the only one where the only way you could beat him was actually just getting good at the game. All the other ones you could summon or cheese or something. This one you either had to be really good at dodging or really good at parrying, because you can't heal. Unless he's knocked down from the parry, you just can't heal in this fight. But this boss is just a fun challenge. It's not cheap or annoying like Capra Demon, Bed of Chaos, Gwendolyn, anything like that. No, this is actually a fun challenge. It took me 6 deaths just to kill him. Alright, so that's going to be the end of this ranking video now. Tell me what your hardest boss in Dark Souls was in the comments. Also, I've started my playthrough of Dark Souls 2. My first video of that will be coming out pretty soon. I'll put all the bosses that I did up until Flexile Century in the first episode, so I'll say I'll probably post that in maybe 2 days. Until then, I'll see you next time.